I want to look at the lesson for today is called "Endure to the End," and I was looking at 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and this is just kind of a basis of this. This is not actually coming from here, but you don't have to necessarily turn there, I guess. But 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and 24 through 27, it says, "Know you not that they which run a race run all. They which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that you may obtain. And every man that striveth for the masteries is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. But I keep under my body and bring it into suggestion, lest that by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway." And so, it's just talking about having endurance. You know what I mean? Endurance until the end and finish your race. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the thought process that I was thinking about. We want to go over to 1 Kings chapter 3. This is kind of where our lesson comes from. 1 Kings chapter 3, we want to talk about Solomon. Many things are discussed about Solomon. A lot of great stories are told about Solomon. But one thing that you can learn from Solomon, that he learned, we see later on in life, but you want to try to, one thing you always, when you read the scriptures, when you see frailty in others, you want to always learn from it. You know what I mean? You don't want to necessarily repeat. The lessons are written in the Bible for a reason. You see the fall of an individual or someone failed at something, it's written and recorded so that you might learn. You know what I mean? So you learn to avoid it. It's not necessarily to shame that individual per se, but especially if they got it right, if they fixed it, or they repented. But it's a story so that you learn not to follow that example, to avoid that pitfall. And so when you look at Solomon, First Kings chapter 3, I want to start at we can start at verse 3. It says, "And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burned incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for there was the great high place. The great high place. And 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer unto that altar. And Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, Ask what I should give thee. And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. And now, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, thou so great a people? The Bible says, and the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon asked this thing. And so, like I said, when you look at this, and we talk about, Solomon beginning his reign, and common story, as far as understanding Solomon's heart. And what I really want to look at is his heart from the beginning. You know what I mean? When God comes to him in his dream, and he ain't tell me what you want. You know what I mean? And so God opened up the book. I mean, God opened up the chest. Like, man, take whatever you want. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And so if you can ask God for anything, what would you ask for? You think about that. And it says a lot about the character and the spirit of Solomon to show when the Bible shows what he asked for. Because like I said, if you can ask for anything, I would ask for anything. So what would be the first thing that comes to your mind? You know what I mean? If God said, I'll give you whatever you ask for. No, there is no no. I give it to you. You know what I mean? Longevity, life of my children, peace on earth, or whatever. You know what I mean? A lot of people come up with a whole bunch of different stuff. You see what I'm saying? But the one thing that he asked for is that to be a good leader to God's people. That's his desire. That's his singular desire. And that shows to be able to have anything you want. That's the one desire that you have. The Bible said it pleased God. You know what I mean? And so what it shows is it shows the heart and the integrity that Solomon has at this point.
Man.
That's powerful, you know? And so verse 11, and God said unto him, see, he said, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself a long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thy enemies, but hast asked thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart. So there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days. And so God said, man, that impressed God. He's like, man, you know, you didn't ask me for like a long life to live forever, or live, you know, a long life. You didn't ask for riches. You didn't ask for all your enemies to be stopped before you. You know what I mean? Like, you just asked for understanding, wisdom. That's impressive. God said, you know, I'm gonna give you that. I gave you that. Ain't gonna be nobody else like you. And I'm gonna give you the other stuff too. I'm gonna give you the riches, the honor, and everything else. You know what I mean? And so that goes to show you God's response to Solomon. God validated, like, man, Solomon is impressive. His heart towards me and towards my people is impressive. So I'm gonna give him everything he asked for and more. You know, and so like I said, so God validates the spirit that Solomon has shown. He says, verse 14, he says, if thou wilt walk in my ways, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk. He says, then I will lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And so Solomon says, you know, if you keep my commandments, I'll lengthen your days. He said, because I'll make you live for a long time. You know, and so Solomon starts his reign off the right way.
That's right.
He starts with the heart like his father to just, I just want to do well in your sight. That's it. I want to, you know, you put me in this position. You show great mercy and grace to my father. You know what I mean? And like, you honor, you know, you blessed him by putting his son on the throne. You know, and I just want, you know, I saw how good that you were to him. I just want to be a good leader to your people. That's it. You know? So you drop over to chapter 8. I'm sorry, chapter 9. Drop over to chapter 9. So he's charged with building the temple of the Lord. You know, he does a lot of things to accomplish that task. And then verse 9, we're going to skip ahead. 1 Kings in chapter 9, verse 1. It says, and it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all Solomon's desires, which he was pleased to do, that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he appeared unto him at Gibeon. So this is he coming to him again after this initial one we just read in chapter 3. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built, to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart and uprightness, and do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, thou shalt not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, you or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, to go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. And at this house which is high, everyone that passes by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss, and they shall say, why hath the Lord done this unto this land, unto this house? And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought forth their father out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other gods, and have worshipped them, and served them. Therefore hath the Lord brought upon them all this evil. And so God comes to him the second time, and he just gives him a reminder. You know, he accomplished the goal of building the temple. He said he accomplished all of his desires. God was with him, the Bible says. And, you know, he comes to him again and just reiterates, like, listen, man, you know, if you do well, then I have one of your seats sitting on the throne forever, just like I promised your father. you know. But if you don't, if you go after other gods, then I'm gonna dispatch you, and I'm not only you, but I'm gonna dispatch these people, and I'm gonna tear this place down. People gonna be astonished, looking like all this. And you spent all this time. As a matter of fact, the Bible says 20 years building it. Verse 10, it came to pass at the end of 20 years. 20 years you built it, but I'm gonna destroy it and tear it up. You know what I mean? And it's like all this time you spent, I'm just you know what I mean? And so at this time, Solomon is still focused. He still is focused on doing what it is that he's supposed to. His heart is still right, you know. And I look at this, and I really want to look at this story and point this out, because oftentimes this is the course that Christians' lives take, or Christian walks, I should say. This is what they take. You start off well, you know what I mean? You start off with a sincere desire to just do right. And most of the time people get baptized because they heard that that's what God wants them to do, and so they want to do it. They want to do right by God. You know what I mean? One thing with God is that God always wants you to remember where you came from.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Whenever God is talking to Israel, the kings, he's sending his prophets to talk to the people, it's always a constant reminder of when I brought you by your hand out of Egypt, when I brought your fathers by the hand out of Egypt. Because at the end of the day, when you cried to me, I rescued you. You see what I'm saying? And even though those people had long been dead, generations past, you wouldn't be here unless I grabbed your fathers by the hand out of Egypt, and I made a covenant with them, and I looked after them, and I brought them. You know, I mean, they would have died. They were supposed to be dead, but I rescued them. I brought them through that path, through that sea. I'm the one that closed the waters on the Egyptian army that was following them. You see what I'm saying? And so, it's the same. That's the same mentality that God has about us. Like, all of us come from somewhere. None of us are born. Nobody's born a Christian. Everybody becomes a Christian, and everybody becomes a Christian because they acknowledge that it's something that I need that God got, or that I did wrong, and I need God's help. So everybody that's a member of the church, everybody that's a Christian comes to God for help first. You see what I'm saying? And God accepts. And so this is every Christian walk. And so you have to make sure that you understand and never forget that God rescued me. You see, like I say, it's something that's said all the time, but it's something that happens in life that causes tragedy. And that's when we go to chapter 11. We'll start to sit here and kind of get the majority of our meat here. 1 Kings chapter 11. Anybody have any comments? I'm sure y'all talk me. I want to. Hold on myself. And he says, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, the Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go in to them, neither shall you come in unto you, or neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. And so when you, like I say, and when you look at that, and that's the meat of, like, that is the epicenter of this lesson. Is that time passed.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? And you start off so well, you start off so focused, but time passes. His Bible says he's old at this time. And his heart clave to these strange women. And they took his heart. You see what I'm saying? And when you think about, like I said, I never look at the scriptures, and I never try to look at the scriptures from perspective of, like, to try to judge Solomon. Even though you have to judge the situation, obviously. But it's very dangerous to take yourself away from the lesson and just look at, oh, Solomon, oh, you did dirty. You know what I mean? Because you have to understand who Solomon is and how he got there. Solomon is an impressive man in the sight of God. God acknowledges it, man. You did well when you asked for that. So I'm going to give you this and that. You know what I mean? So then how does he get here? You see what I'm saying? Solomon isn't Saul. You see what I'm saying? Saul ain't never been right. Saul's heart was jacked up from the beginning. You know what I mean? But Solomon is his heart is sincere and it's right. It's set to do right. To all his only desire is to please God and to serve God's people the right way, to be wise and to be knowledgeable in how to deal with the people in a righteous way. That's his only desire. He said, ask me what you want. That's the only thing he asked for. And so you're thinking, how does he go from that? Like, and, and a lot of times we look at situations and we say, yeah, he probably had something going on before. He had some hang-ups, an issue before that just kind of sprouted into that. He probably always kind of felt this way or that way. He wasn't that righteous. That's a lot of times we think about that way. If somebody fails at something, or somebody shipwreck, we think that it's because they weren't right to begin with, and it just took time before they fell apart. You follow what I'm saying? That's typically how we judge situations. Yeah, that brother, he got caught up with this woman, or he's teaching false doctrine now. So you think he probably always was like that. It just revealed itself now. But no, that's not always the case. You see what I'm saying? A dude can start off with pure intentions. Mm-hmm. His heart is right. It's not like there's no secret agenda he even had. It was legit. But time happens. You see what I'm saying? Time passes. You start to accomplish things. You, like I said, the Bible talks about in chapter 10 about this woman, this Queen of Sheba, come to him and like, man, you're just so impressive. And like, man, your wisdom is gone throughout the land. Riches that he acquired. This dude was a bad boy. Like, everybody knows who Solomon is. And not only the fact that he's super rich, but like, man, dude's so smart. He's so wise. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean? Like, he has a heck of a reputation around the world. You know what I mean? And this ain't no internet type stuff. This like cats writing letters. Like, this is slow motion communication. You follow what I'm saying? And so it take time for the word to get around, but it got around. You know what I mean? It take effort for people to go around and talk about, have you heard about Solomon of Israel? You know what I mean? Cats writing letters. People talking in the marketplace. And so she catch wind of it, man. And them boys in Israel doing some big stuff. They king is a bad boy. Tell him, man, he's smart. He good people. So she said, man, I'm gonna go down and meet him. I wanna go meet him. I write a letter. It takes months to get letters from, you know what I mean, from Sheba to coordinate all that up. Ain't no send no email. Hey man, we'll get together 2 weeks. You know what I mean? We get down there. You gotta get your caravan together, get all the animals, make sure the animals are healthy. Everybody gotta get situated. You cart all this stuff. You follow what I'm saying? But to put forth that much effort to go all the way down to Egypt to talk just to meet this dude, like, he has to be an impressive dude. You see what I'm saying? And so, I see your hand, my brother. And I want to paint that picture so that we understand the gravity of this lesson. You know what I mean? Because if Solomon finds himself here, it's very, very important that we take this lesson and we understand it and that we apply it. That you have to, that's why we went to 1 Corinthians 9 at the beginning, that you have to keep yourself under subjection. You have to run this race with mastery. You know what I mean? You have to stay focused on the task, because it's so easy for you to get off task, because you don't just get baptized and then 2 days later you go to heaven. You see what I'm saying? You obey the gospel and you have a lot of things you have to overcome. I mean, it's a lot of tasks and a lot of challenges that you have to deal with internally, externally, whatever. It's a lot of heartache. It's a lot of disappointment. You're gonna see a lot of stuff that go wrong. You know what I mean? But you have to continue. You have to maintain faith until the end. Maintain that heart. It's one thing to say I'm sincere on day one, but you have to maintain. Like, a sincere heart has to continue to be cultivated. It's not something that you just, I have a good heart, so our heart will be good forever. No, having a good heart is just being sincere, and sincerity is something that you have to consciously be. You can become insincere. So you have to make sure that you always guard your heart to maintain sincerity, to maintain that innocence towards God. I mean, but that becomes difficult when everybody pumping you up, when everybody talking about how bad you are, when everybody talking about how holy you are, when you accomplishing so many things, you see other people fail and you succeeding. It's real easy to start thinking it's me. Or you start comparing yourself to other people, and then it's like, I'm not so bad. I'm doing pretty good. That guy's trash. You know what I mean? His walk is terrible. All this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And over years and years of that, and before you know it, you start shifting. Yeah. Before you know it, you find yourself way farther from where you started. That's how it happens. You got the ball in the ocean, and then you get to floating, the waves carrying on. Before you know it, you end up on an island on the other side, whatever. That's how it happens in Christianity. You know what I mean? If you're not careful to stay the course, you can easily start shifting. And before you know it, you way far away from where you were where you initially started, my brother.
Yeah, so just wanted to talk about concerning Solomon. If we look at Ruth chapter 4, looking at verse 21 and 22, Ruth 4, 21, 22, it says, and Solomon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. And so Boaz was the husband of Ruth. Mm-hmm. Ruth was a Moabitish woman. Mm-hmm. Ruth was a great-great-grandmother of Solomon. Mm-hmm. And so his great-great-grandmother was a Moabitish woman. However, they compared Ruth to, I believe it was the two virtuous women that lived, that were married to, I believe it was Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. Mm-hmm. They compared to her. She said she wanted to be with God and be with his people. Mm-hmm. However, the women that he chose were not like his great-great-grandmother. Right. The Moabitish woman that he chose and the Ammonite woman that he chose was nothing like. The Zidonian women, the Edomitish women, Hittite women were not like his great-great-grandmother in character. Mm-hmm. So therefore, he's accumulated these concubines, wives, and now you have the management part where you lose track, or you let your eyes deceive you, and now you can't manage all these requests that come in for false gods, the building of a false a house for their gods. And so you're old and you have these requests come in, and then they press on you like Samson was pressed by Delilah. Mm-hmm. And so the constant, like Brother Hamilton was saying, it's a constant attack. It's a wear and tear on your mind, your psyche, and your soul, and then you just give in because it's like it's constant. And so if you don't continually put the Word of God before you, then you just begin to wear out, and then you lose the talent that God gave you. And so that's something that has to be every day when you wake up, is have the eyesight of God, have the respect and honor that for God, and appreciate what He's given you. From the past, you mentioned Egypt. You know, they forgot about that. They forgot all about that. You should always remember what you were, what you are, and what you don't want to be. Mm-hmm. You know, because you could lose what you are, and lose that fellowship relationship with God, based off the examples of the brethren. And there's some brethren who come back, some who don't call back. But we have to, like Paul said, mark those who cause divisions among us. You know, we have to communicate who has this false teaching, who doesn't. Because if we don't, then, you know, if we start saying, well, I'm not perfect, I can't judge, and just fellowship with, and then just fellowship with everybody that's false. You know, because, you know, we've sinned before, but what is your current stance with God? And what sound teaching do you have so you won't lose it? Because that's a deceitful thing, to tell yourself, well, you know, nobody's perfect, so I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's just accept all false teaching, you know, because let's just not seek for. But God is the one who makes one perfect. That's actually His job, but we're the ones that stop His job from being accomplished. You know, God's work is every day, I want to make my son, my daughter perfect. That's right. I want it to be. But we're the ones that hold up that job, that work, you know, by building other temples or other works that God has said build, like Solomon built.
Amen. Good point.
And that was so good. I didn't take the words out of my mouth. That's good.
I was sure you could add a little something.
Well, this man right here, I believe that. I think you mentioned something. You know, if you hear something that's from somebody evil, whether it be good or bad, and it's true, you listen to the truth. And we tend to not listen to people in the church. Once we get baptized, I was with him. I hung out with him. I ain't going to church with him. Don't listen no more. But Solomon, of course, wrote, you know, I think the Bible says, he talks about, he wrote over 3,000 Proverbs. The book of Ecclesiastic is a book that we can read and we find out that all is vanity. you know, that we can read about all the wisdom that he had.
That's good.
And so we can look at this man and learn a lot. But the thing about it is, the frailty of man is that he gets weak as he gets old, and as time passes, he gets weak. And Javier brought up the woman that he talked about, Samson. I thought about the judge. When the woman went to the judge, she kept going to the judge. She kept going. She made him weary. He said, "Man, I got to answer her because if you're not, she's gonna make me weary." He answered her. He answered her, gave what she wanted. So there's certain things that can weigh you down. And like you said, a woman can weigh you down. So what is he telling us? He's telling us, find you a wife. Find your wife. And what I look at right here in 1 Kings 2 is that when he was young, he asked for wisdom. There's young men in here. There's young men in here right now. And a lot of young men wearing their pants baggy, they're selling drugs, they got multiple girlfriends, they jumping out of back windows at night because they're sleeping with so many women. But you know, you got these young men in here, and they see this man right here, all the wisdom he has. And what happens when you go out into the world, we see all these things, and these things take a hold of us, and we don't come back here. For you know, we the ones got the pants hanging down, got holes all in our jeans, and we slinging dope, jumping out the back windows and going on. So right here in 1 Kings 2, it says in verse number 3. Verse number 1 says, "Now the days of David drew near, that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man." And verse 3 says, "And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments, and his judgments and his testimonies, as is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and wherever thou turnest thyself." So he gave him instruction before he stepped down as king, although David made a lot of mistakes too, but he gave him instruction. And so the instructions were with him. And so what happened, you know, down the line is what you're alluding to, you know, right now, is it's a race. And if you don't stay in the race, obviously you're gonna fall.
That's right.
Obviously you're gonna fall.
That's right, brother.
Bottom line. That's bottom line.
Amen.
Man.
Like I said, you hit the nail on the head. Like, you have to endure.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you have to have your heart set to endure. If you, like I said, you have to be like Javier said, you have to be constantly engaged in Christianity. Christianity is not, or being a Christian is not just, like say, you just happenstance. You just kind of like frolic through life like, I'm a Christian. Like, no, you're challenged with too much. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's too much that come your way. And it's not to say like to be afraid of it. It's not nothing to be afraid of. But you have to understand, like, you have to be engaged in what you're doing.
That's right.
It's like texting and driving. You've been driving for years. You see what I'm saying? And you get comfortable. You can drive with, sit back, climb all the way back, one finger on the wheel, and you can just ride if you want to. Some people can ride with their knees. You know what I mean? If you need to drive, I can grab something. You can drive, keep the steering wheel with your knee, and be like, whatever, because you've been doing it for so long. Then cats get comfortable. I see the texting. I'm guilty of it from time. I'd be really mindful not to do it though. You know what I mean? Because you're so comfortable driving. You've been driving for years. But it only take a split second. You know what I mean? And then you either dead or you killed somebody or whatever. Exactly. And like I said, and it's the same way in Christianity. You get comfortable being a Christian. I'm a Christian. You see what I'm saying? I go to church every Sunday, Wednesday. I teach Bible class. And you do well. I teach people. I talk to people about the church. I don't steal stuff. You know what I mean? Whatever. And you just kind of get in the groove. And so you get comfortable and you chilling. I'm a Christian. I'm on my way to heaven. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. But before you know it, you're not paying attention anymore.
That's right. Good point.
You just roll.
There's gonna be very few that enter.
Yeah.
They use the Church of Christ, a lot of people ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, but exactly. But the reason why is because you get comfortable. You know what I mean? You start thinking like, I've done enough. And maybe not that exact thought, but that's the approach that you take. I've been in church for 20 years. I've seen people fall away. I've seen other people turn. I've overcome certain situations. People in my family died, but I didn't turn away. I saw the other person. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I've been going to church for 20 years, 30 years, or whatever. Still going to church. You know what I mean? I serve on table. I mean, that kind of thing. And you get comfortable.
That's right.
And then before you know it, if you're not careful, you start to rest on your laurels.
Good point.
You start thinking, "Oh, this is enough," and that's when you find yourself in Solomon's situation. He waxed old, and the thing you see with Solomon is that he was greedy.
Yes.
Like the man had 1,000 women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he had a real appetite. He developed a real appetite
for women.
Yeah.
for this, and it took him.
But it took him out though.
Exactly. But and like I said, and I see. I see. Yeah, that's a lot of women. 700 concubines, 300 wives, officials, 300 officials, and then little chicks on the side. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, you look at that, you be like, man, but Solomon's a wild boy and all this kind of stuff. But the point of the lesson, that's the part I really want to bring out is like, how did he get there? You read this, you're like, that boy Solomon tripping.
Yeah.
But how did he get here? You see what I'm saying? Because that's the real story. That's the real lesson. Looking at what he did is like, yeah, that's crazy. But the major thing is, how did he get there?
Good point.
From where he started.
Yeah.
That's what you have to learn. Craig got his hand. I'm gonna finish reading this in a little second. But go ahead, Craig.
Okay, yeah, but so Solomon, he knew, and it's hard that he was wrong, you know what I'm saying? And that comes with us. We know for sure if we're giving God 100%. All of us in this room, we know that some things we know we're not giving 100%. So when you gotta look in your heart and say, okay, am I really giving the Lord 100% like I should? You know what I'm saying? But you can tell somebody, you know, and you can look at different things about just like with say okay, a person is going through different things, you know, just say physical issues, spiritual. Sometimes it'll be something spiritual that reflects on their physical. You know,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they do get discouraged on different things when it comes to spiritual and also physical as well. But we got to realize that spiritual will always be real. So this is a illusion that we live in. Actually, it's just a test that we go through on earth to fulfill the needs to go to the spiritual world. Because the spiritual world is the last step that's going to be our permanent home. But see, a lot of people don't realize because we're so illusionized in materialistic things, cars, houses, money. Even though we do have to work as a Christian, because God say enjoy your first fruits of your labor, we have to, you know, enjoy ourselves while we're here. But don't forget Him.
Amen.
You know, we always got to put Him first in everything that we do. You know, but you're gonna have different trials and tribulations. You're gonna have death. You're gonna have money problems. You're gonna have issues with the world. But it's just a test that we go through to see how long can we endure the pain. Because without pain, there's no success.
It's true.
So we have to go through pain on earth in order for us to be successful when we leave this world. So then when you get to that test and you finish that test, you say, "God, well done, you passed the test." But see, a lot of people don't look at that. And that's with physical too. In order for us to move forward in life, we have to go through things in order for us to see the fruits of our labor. But if we stop in our tracks and stop, we're not going to see it because we didn't go through it. You always have to go through things, even through marriage. You might have your wife, this and that. Even though you guys are going through your trials, sometimes it takes that one person to say, hey, you know, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do what I have to do to be a better husband and a better wife.
Exactly right.
But sometimes God gives us this test, hey, you're not stepping up to your job, so I'm going to work with your wife, you know what I'm saying, to say, hey, you need to get up on your game. Because if you didn't go the same with the woman, you know. So now it's to the point now when it comes to physical, we have to know what we're doing in order for us to succeed and pass the test. Because I'm going to tell you, the world now that we live in, it's a lot of stuff that's going on, you know, that we have to focus on God. Because I'm going to tell you, the devil can actually trip us to where we think we doing good, you know, as a Christian.
Yeah.
But on the back end, we really doing wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we know deep down in our heart that we're not giving Him 100%.
Amen.
So there's something that you got to look deep within inside your heart and say, hey, am I giving the Lord 100% or am I giving him 80%? Because we can go on our jobs. We can give our jobs 100%. And now, we don't get our job 100%, boss going to call you in the office. He going to say, man, you're not putting up, you're not putting up 100%, man. We need you 100%. We can't do good. If you give us 80%, we're going to kick you to the curb. So just like with God, if we can't give him 100%, I'm not talking about no 99%. We got to give him completely 100%. The stuff that we actually go to school for to get straight A's and B's to get through it, then go to college and be all this. We have to do the spiritual as well.
Amen.
If you can't do the spiritual as well, what is it going to gain? Nothing.
That's the way it's at.
That's an investment, an inheritance. You got to leave your kids an inheritance, which is physical. Because what they see you do, they don't do the same thing. So you got to raise your kids up and teach your kids the right thing to do when it comes to spiritual.
Amen.
Because if you do half of it, they don't do the same thing you do.
So
that's why God when it came to kill everybody, because you're going to do the same thing that your parents did. It's going to follow along.
Yeah. Evil tradition.
Good point.
Good point, my brother.
Wait.
Javier.
Do what you were young.
Oh yes, I was just reading. I don't think I'm trying to read where David had found the same type of wives that Solomon had were from other countries: Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians. I'm just looking at the book of 2 Samuel, where it mentions that he had wives, concubines, that were from Jerusalem. From Jerusalem, I think it's in 2 Samuel 5:13, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem, and he was come from Hebron. There were yet sons and daughters born unto David. I know he had, I believe, a Jezreelitish, also a wife, and Abigail. But the idea is that what Solomon seen was similar to what Adam and also his wife Eve seen in the garden, when they laid their eyes upon the fruit of the tree. And so Solomon had seen these women as he looked abroad, and then he compared himself to other kings or to the glory of the kings. And I want that. I want what they have. Who says I can't have it? I got this. I can control it. Nothing, no problem. And so he did that. He grabbed those women, and then he said, I got this. I'm a wise man. God even told me to dream. There's not gonna be anybody like me. So,
You got it right there.
I mean, so how can I fall? Right? And so to his downfall, when he was old, that's when the attack came, and he fell. But I was reading concerning David, where when he chose concubines and wives from Jerusalem, which are not known, the women of Jerusalem are not known in the sense of as worshiping Chemosh or Ashtoreth, which are, there were some women and men in Jerusalem, sons of Baal, who worship other gods, but most of them were known as from Jerusalem, not to do that.
Like I said, you know how long it takes to gather up 1,000 women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't just like, man,
do that anyway,
like 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
It don't take 2 weeks.
What's
I said it don't take 2
Take
weeks.
longer than that. Yeah,
To
don't
get
doubt
1,000
about it.
women.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
man.
There's a lot
Real
of
bottle for 2
there's
weeks.
paperwork got to be applied. Got to be written up and stuff like that. For
Oh,
real, like for real, you gotta have
that.
that. There's payments. Yeah, they have dowries for they have to be paid, and like discussion has to be had as far as their parents. Like, hey man, listen, I want the daughter. You know what I'm saying? What's the payment? You need about 7 goats on that. All right, cool, bet. I give a man and get the stuff together. That'd be like that's what it is. You don't just walk in, but like man, walk out there and like I'm still go to a store. It's a lot of negotiations still got to go on. Yeah. So like I said, it's and I say that to say, like this image that we see here has an origin. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
It began at some point when he started collecting women. It ain't just like he woke up one day, he had gray hair and like, I'm gonna give me 1,000 women. Yeah. Like it started somewhere. And like that's the point that that's the point that Javier is making. Like he saw it's like David with Bathsheba. It's like Eve and the fruit in the garden. That's how sin is conceived. You see something, it catch your eye. You look at it a little too long, and before you know it, you go grab for it. Exactly.
It was straight from Pharaoh's daughter, though.
Huh?
It was straight from Pharaoh's daughter.
Yeah. And like I said, and so
Straight
it's
up,
just,
straight from.
exactly.
That's
So
another
it's,
nation.
amen. And so that's how it begins. But if you think about it, that's how sin works.
Right.
You see something, it catch your eye, like dang. And before you know it, you get to,
Creeping on in there.
and then you grab it, you take a bite out of it, and that flavor just blow you away. And before you know it, it's on you. You're hooked.
Right.
And the Bible says
You got hoodwinked.
exactly the deceitfulness of sin. Yes. Because you think you can control it. You think, oh man, I can handle it. I got control of it. I got control of it. But the reality is, it got you. You see what I'm saying? You come when it called, not the other way around.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so that's how sin works. And so you have to be, you have to understand.
Servant to sin.
Exactly. You become a slave to sin. Like it's an addiction. Like you watch intervention on TV or whatever. I don't know if y'all watch this, like A&E, so intervention or whatever. And they show about drug and alcohol addiction. Yeah, and that's how it works. Like the cat was at a party, something happened tragic in life. They had to try to take the edge off. That cat took a hill, whatever, and it blew his mind. And then, like, now he keep chasing after that high. Exactly. That's how it works. And it's like that. And like I said, you think in your mind, you think, "Oh man, I got it." You see what I'm saying? I got it. But the reality is, it got you. That's what about. So that's why it says that sin is deceitful, because you think you can control it. I got it. But the reality is, it got you in the full Nelson. You think you got it, you holding him.
So I get you.
So you holding him, but he, like I said, it's like a bear hug.
Yes.
In a bear hug, y'all both belly to belly. Your arm may be wrapped around him, but he's the one applying the pressure on you. Until you break, and then until you break, and then you
See if you can break it.
Exactly. Now he got you, man. That's and it's not really cool, but that's how sin works. And so, let me read the rest of this, and then we're gonna get these final comments, and we're gonna be dismissed. Verse 5, it says, "For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded." And so, like I said, it's written this way because God said, "I came to you twice already."
Yeah.
The first time I told you, "Man, what do you want?" He said, "Man, I just want to be wise. I just want to lead your people right. That's all I want." Like, man, you well said. It pleased the Lord. Man, you know what? You didn't ask me for riches and for a long life and to kill and to subdue your enemies, man. You didn't want to be a bad boy on the earth. All you want to do is that, man. You know what? I'm gonna give you the wisdom. Ain't gonna be nobody like you. And I'm gonna give you the other stuff too, because I'm impressed with you. That's what it is. I come to you again 20 years later, after you've built the temple, after you built all these houses and you accomplished your desire. He said, "Man, listen, man. If you keep my commandments, man, I'll make sure that you have a man on the throne forever. I'll make your house last forever. You know what I mean? Your name will be forever. You know what I mean? It'll always be spoken of Solomon. You know what I mean? You'll always have your lineage will be blessed. Just do what I tell you to do. But if you don't, then I'm tearing it up." You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's a warning. But at the same time, the fact that I'm coming to you and telling you this, reassuring you, like, listen, man, I got you. Just do what I tell you to do, and I got you. So I was, yeah. He's third time I come to you, and I come back, and you straight abandon ship on me. You know what I mean? And so God, like I said, he said, after I came to you twice, and I told you what was going to happen. I already warned you what the situation is. And this is what you do. After all that I gave you. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we talk about how great Solomon is, but we can never forget that it was God who asked Solomon, "What do you want?"
Right.
And Solomon said, "I want wisdom." And it was God who gave it.
Right.
Solomon ain't wise all by himself because he's just that smart.
Amen.
It's because God came to Solomon and asked him, "What do you want?" I just want to be wise to raise it, to judge your people. I got you. Solomon wasn't just rich dude, all these fine linens on, all these goats and sheep and oxen and whatever, and great beautiful palace that he had built, because he's just so smart, he's just so cold, and he's so cold with business that he able to get all his monies. You know what I mean? It's because God says, I'm gonna bless you with these riches. He had peace in the land. Everybody wasn't running up on Solomon trying to take his stuff and having the city besieged every 3 years because cats want to. That's how it is. When cats rich, people be out lurking. Yeah, all y'all old enough to know y'all been around. You know what I mean? Cats see you ride up in a real nice car. They're like, yo, what's going on over there? Before the thieves, they catch it, they notice. They start seeing what time you leave, what time you come in. You know what I mean? Do we lock the doors? How he lock them? The window got burglar bars. They start check because they want what you got. That's how it is, man. That's how it is in the world. I got you here, my brother. That's how it is in the world. Like, cats see what you got, and at this time, let us going around. Man, the boy is bad. I'm telling you, he got a cup. It's pure gold, man. Everybody got gold everywhere. Shield gold, man. I'm telling you, they building this temple. It's mega. It's major. It's major. Heavy duty. You know what I mean? Exactly. So these like I always try to keep the Bible real. There's letters going around. Cats know what's going on, and that's what they used to do. Man, he got all this stuff. Let's besiege it. We gonna take it. That's how it works. It's cats and gangsters. You know what I mean? So, but all the time that he is building, all the time he's in charge, God gave him peace in the land. Nobody ran up on Solomon. Nobody tried to come take his stuff. He had war with the Philistines and the Ammonites and the Hittites, and he didn't have no war. He had peace because God subdued his enemies before him. You see what I'm saying? And so all this stuff that made Solomon so great, God gave him that. Right. But then he gets old, and he out here building temples. Now he just built a temple for the house of God, and now he building temples for Chemosh, and building temples for Molech, and building temples for and all these high places. And it's like, so God comes back, figuratively speaking. I come back to visit, and it's like it's stuff erected for all these other cats. It's like, yo, what's going on? Like, I told you about this. I came here twice. We talked about this. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And so, exactly. And so when you and you can read the rest of it. You can read the rest of it. I recommend you reading the rest of it. But when you think about that, it took a long time, years, for him to make that transition from all I want to do is serve you. All I want to do is serve you. And be wise to judge your people, man, because you have a great nation. He went from that to I got 1,000 chicks up in here, man. And everybody got a temple, man. Then Solomon, I want to Molech is my God. I want to worship Molech, but I can't do it over here. I'm gonna have to go back home to do it. But no, baby, you ain't gotta go nowhere. I bet you get the blueprints ready. You know what I mean? What about Chemosh? I like Chemosh. I gotta go. No. You gonna get Chemosh? It's enough space for everybody to be able to do what they want to do. They get a hill on Chemosh, get one for Molech. You know what I mean? That's how it works. You know what I mean? And because his heart had been taken from God, and it's to the women. Whatever, and now his mind gone. You know what I mean? And I don't want us to get focused too much on just it's the women. The women took. It ain't about the women. It's the gravitation of heart. That's the key. Because you can just replace women with whatever else you want in life. It's the same problem. Is that you allowed your heart to deviate away from God into something else. And it took years to happen. And so for us, we have to make sure, I'm coming in, my brother, I'm done with this. What we have to do is make sure that we don't allow our heart to gravitate. Man. You know what I mean? You are aware that it's possible and that you defend against it. That's the key. That you understand that, I mean, I have to make sure that I continually endure. That I continually keep my heart in subjection. That I continually maintain my innocence and integrity towards God. That's the key. That I'm going to always be honest with God. When I fail, I'm going to tell God, man, I failed. I mean, I never can get so big and so bad to where I try to protect my reputation before God. You can never do that. That's right. You ain't got no reputation before God. You always have to be, I'm just a child. That's the way Solomon approached God. He wasn't a kid at the time, for real. He was just saying, I'm a child in the sense of, in your sight, as far as understanding. That's right. I'm brand new, I don't know what to be doing. But we have to always maintain that same heart. Like, no matter what you accomplish, how many people you counsel, how many lessons you teach, how many people you convert, like how many Sundays you came to church, whatever, man. All that stuff don't matter. You always, I'm a child before you. And I need your help.
Amen.
You have to maintain it. If ever you lose sight of that, that's when you're on your course to fail. All right. How Micaiah and my brother. That's it. Go ahead.
Okay, honestly, I don't know how, like, I know that he started somewhere, and honestly, it's just so amazing how something can get from like something so good to something horrible.
Amen.
And what you call it? Yeah. So we gotta watch out for that because, as you said, if you think you're also high mighty because God gave you all these blessings and stuff, you're going the wrong path and just gonna be lost.
Amen. That's it. Quickly, I'll just turn the Bible to Deuteronomy 17.
You got it.
Starting at verse 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Lord of our God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over thee. Let as all the nations that are about me, that thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thou God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he shall multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wise to himself, that his heart return not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book, out that which is before the priests and the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, and to keep all the words of his law and these statutes to do them. That is, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, that he return not aside from the commandments, to do the right hand or to the left, or to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, and he and his children in the midst of Israel.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Amen.
it's
You knocked out the
powerful.
park right there, brother.
When you think about that, and Solomon knew the law, you see what I'm saying? And like I said, it's so easy to sit back, and I'm done. I'm done. But it's so easy to sit back, read this story, read these scriptures, and be like, Solomon knew better. You know what I mean? But don't we know better?
Right.
We have the instructions too, but you know what I'm saying. But you fall into stuff, so it's like you can't sit there and try to sit on this throne, and Judge Solomon and Judge David. You know what I mean? You have to be. Don't get me wrong. You judge right and wrong. You judge what they did was wrong. It's not good. But But make sure that you understand how they got there, and you avoid that road. You know what I mean? You say, well, he knew the law. He knew he was supposed to multiply them wives. But you know you ain't supposed to do the stuff that you do. So it's like, what heart do you need to maintain to make sure that you don't follow the way of Solomon? Because Solomon comes back and he says, let us to the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's the whole duty of man. Right. Everything that's done, we brought into the judgment. You know what I mean? Whether good or bad. So that's the conclusion of everything. That's what he comes to understand. You know what I mean? But it's like, make sure that you don't have to go through the heartache that Solomon goes to. I remember talking to, and I'm done. You last thing, I'm done. I remember talking to Ozan years ago. We were talking, and we were talking about David, and I was like, when David did what he did with Bathsheba, he was never the same after that.
Yes.
Like if you read about David after that, he's like before that. David is a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, David he went hard, as the young people say. You know what I mean?
He went hard.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But after that, he's very like solemn, soft. Like that situation with Absalom, he was just like, oh, the
Yeah.
child, if he can live. And like
Yeah.
he was just
Yes.
like ripping and running in the desert. Like it wasn't no fight from him at all. And even though Absalom was pulled off major mutiny and like major foolishness going on in the land,
Yeah.
Solomon, I mean, David is kind of like, oh, do you have to kill the lad?
Yes.
Like what? And then that, like, you know, Joab, like, man, you can't go out here with these people. These people risk their lives trying to rescue you, and you gonna come out here talking about let him live. Man, you trip. You better get yourself together for these people handle you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that, you know what I mean? Like, he called Solomon, you know, make sure you watch, Shimmy, you know, to catch him because, you know, he's, you know, whatever. It was like, after that, you never see him bow up anymore like he used to. But like I said, because sin has a way of leaving scars.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like shame and guilt can be a difficult thing to shake. You know what I mean? Remember, like say you think you can touch sin and just be cool, but no, man. Sometimes that's gonna leave lasting effects. You know what I mean? And so that's why you have to. That's why you have to avoid it at all costs. Because it ain't something you just touch. And like, oh man, it's cool. Oh man, actually, I ain't gonna mess with that no more. If you able to shake free, it leave battle scars.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't, like I said, it's like you can make it to heaven, you can still teach, but it can stick with you. It can alter, it can change your course, it can change the way that you walk, the intensity with which you hit, because you gotta think about, I did God dirty, like it's just like, you know what I mean, like it's something that you have to be mindful of and watch, you know what I mean, and so, like, you know, this situation is grievous. Like you read like he got the law, he read it. He did his job. I'm sure he did his job as a young man to write his copy of the law and read it. Don't you shall not multiply wives. You think that's in the back of his head when he grabbing wife 200, 300, concubine 587, you know, 723. You shouldn't multiply. But he's like, man, he is hitting them like he knocking them out. You know what I mean? He know you ain't supposed to be doing this, but I love these strange women, man. Like, man, she pretty.
Yeah.
How much for? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know you're supposed to be doing this. And then before you know it, I want to worship my, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it happened. Sin has a way of disintegrating you.
Right.
You know what I mean? It starts to wear you down. You know what I mean? Like your resistances, like you start to decompose. That's the best way I can put it. When you're dealing with sin, I said it decomposes your convictions.
Man.
That's the way I put it. It decomposes your conviction. Where you were so strong on stuff, when you start dealing with sin and you start compromising and you start trying to hide and you start trying to cover, it disintegrates your conviction. And before you know it, you start making concessions that you used to make. You start saying, I don't want to deal with this. That's that and the other. That's what sin does. That's why God tells you to stay away from it. I mean, that's why you got to shake it. Because if you don't, it'll wipe you out. You be dust. And you get blown away in the wind.
That's right.
I'm done. But,
Yeah, I was just mentioning what you were mentioning concerning what David said. He was saying concerning a ruler that rules over God's people. He was saying in verse 4, 6 Samuel 23, and he shall be as the light of the morning when the sun arises, even the morning with clouds. As a tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain, although my house be not so with God, yet he hath made with me an everlasting covenant, order in all things and sure, for this is all my salvation and all my desire. He says, although he make it not to grow. So the covenant is still with David. However, he didn't make his kingdom grow because of his past iniquities. And so just like Moses, he led the people out to the wilderness. However, he couldn't go into the promised land because of his sin. And so when you look at Solomon, the same chapter that we're in, or chapter 11, you look at verse 14, he says, and the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad, the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. And then we look at verse 23, and God stirred him another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliada, which fled from his lord, Hadadezar, king of Zobad. Verse 26 says, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerida, Solomon's servant, whose mother name was Zariah. Verse 25 says, he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, son of mischief of Hadad. And so, before he checked out, he had different adversaries. But the guy that, just the last chapter, in 2 Kings 23, where Josiah was the king, he did a work where Solomon didn't do. It says in verse 13, and the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mount of corruption, which Solomon, the king of Israel, had built it for Ashtoreth, the abomination of the Zidonians, and Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon, did the king defile, and he broke in pieces the images, and cut down the groves, and filled their places with the bones of men. And so we have listed in the book, New Testament where Jesus speaks good of Solomon. However, he did not tear down those false houses with those false gods, Chemosh, of the Zidonians, of the abomination of the Moabites. And so that's something that he didn't do in his lifetime. And, you know, he turned his heart back to God, but he did not tear down the altars. That's one thing that he left. But Josiah, he recognized this is a sin to have up, and he tore it down. And that's one thing I have to do is we have to be like Josiah, where Josiah was. He was a consistent king. He was always consistent on getting rid of what causes Israel to sin. And as saints, we have to be aware of our own selves and the state of the sheep.
Man.
In the sense of what causes us to fall. Don't go into that, and what causes the saints to fall, so they can tear that down, so they won't also fall to that as well. So I just want to add that.
Amen.
Amen.
How many years that lasted? He built those. How many years he caused Israel, Jerusalem to sin after because of his decision to make those things? That's